All right, welcome to the Fear the Fincast on January 22nd, 2017, in the year of our Neets. All right, it's a rainy day here in Southern California. It's probably raining even in Long Beach, California at halftime of the Nieto Bowl, circa 2017. I'm Jacob Sunster, managing editor of fearthefin.com with Marcus P. White. What does the P stand for anyway? Is that Patrick?
Patrick.
Yeah, I figured. That's good. Could be worse. What would be the worst P middle name? I don't know. I actually can't even think of it. Oh.
Something about like urine.
Oh, yeah. All right. So we're going to talk about both the first half of the Matt Nieto Bowl, the Tampa Bay Lightning game briefly because it was a terrible game, even though the Sharks won, and mostly about the best game of this little stint, the Los Angeles Kings game, which the Sharks dominated thoroughly. I'm going to use the narrative excuse that the Sharks are still tired from that Kings game way back on Wednesday, because actually I really do believe actually that they were still tired from the Wednesday game when they played the Lightning on Thursday. Do you? Let's steal from the Lebatard show, the highly questionable. Do you buy or sell?
They've had a pretty tough stretch recently. I mean, a friend of the blog, Kevin Kurz, wrote about it last night in his post-game replay, calling it a brutal stretch. I think they've played like 5 games in their last 8 days, something crazy like that, which is a lot.
Yeah,
and that's a lot of that's because of the condensed schedule with the World Cup, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think there's that. You can absolutely make the case that wear and tear has had an effect on them. I mean, they're missing guys from the lineup because of that wear and tear. They've got no Michael Haley, no Timo Meyer. Meyer was, I believe, sick the other day, or was he hurt? There was a reason he wasn't healthy scratch.
No. I heard like a minor injury, but it could have been an illness.
Yeah. And Haley's on IR, so that, I mean, it's, you're seeing
a
guys
mystery IR.
Yeah, you're seeing guys come up from the AHL
to sit in the press box.
But you're still seeing them up like as the extra bodies when, normally that wouldn't be a thing, especially when the Barracuda are playing the second half of a doubleheader today. I think you can absolutely make the argument that they're starting to get a little drained, which is, if they're not playing their best games against some of these teams, if they're coming out with wins, that's okay, because, you're assuming that the schedule will not be nearly as condensed in the postseason.
Sure.
And it's all about getting there. So yeah, I'm not too concerned on that front, but I do think there's something to be said about fatigue. I'm interested to see if they're gonna. If they are practicing today, they'd probably be practicing right now, but I'm guessing they're not.
I doubt it.
I guess I would, if I had to guess, because I think DeBoer errs on the side of caution more than anything. If I had to guess, they probably won't practice on Wednesday either, coming off the second half of back-to-back and before their last game before the All-Star break. But, they could end up practicing. Who knows?
Yeah, my guess is that they'll take it pretty easy the rest of the way. They've got the Avalanche, obviously, again on Monday, and then they've got Winnipeg on Tuesday. And I believe then they've got Edmonton on Thursday, and then that's kind of it until the All-Star break. And obviously then they've got Chicago on Tuesday, and then they've got their NHL-mandated bye week. So they could have hurtled back by that Chicago game on Tuesday. My guess is that they might play a little safer than that, and we can probably expect him back by that February 2nd game at Vancouver. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's start with that LA game, since that's the game both of us probably most fervently watched. I watched the replay of last night's game. I did watch the Tampa game. That game was pretty sloppy. Aaron Dell played very well. And that's really why the Sharks won that game.
We've said in every podcast, he's got to play more.
Got to play more. That's the takeaway from the Tampa Bay. Aaron Dell needs to play more. Yesterday, Martin Jones played pretty well, and the Sharks are just a much better team than Colorado. And, they were probably lucky to win that game because Colorado played pretty well and the top line played pretty terribly. And, we could probably chalk that up to fatigue, but even so, you got to play better than that against the worst team in the NHL. That's a little embarrassing, especially on home ice. And So one thing that I wanted to note from last night's game is I know that the bottom pairing did not play very many minutes at all. At least by what I saw, the top two played, around in the 20s in the bottom pairing. And this could be incorrect. I saw this on Hockey Viz. Only played around the 15-minute mark, and maybe that's incorrect. But I meant to verify this before we actually recorded the podcast. Cool. But they had only had them at like 14, 15 minutes, and if that's the case, maybe there was something up there. Anyway, not a great showing. And hopefully, they'll play better tomorrow night. That's a 6:00 Pacific start in Denver. So obviously that's, you can make the argument that's a Colorado team playing with, a lot of motivation because those are guys playing for jobs for next season. But, I don't really buy into that kind of stuff.
Slemko played 14 minutes. Brandon Doan played 13:47.
That's very strange.
Brandon played 25. Yeah, the top four all played over 20 minutes. I don't really get that. He used the bottom pairing like that when it was, Mueller and Heed. But I mean, we've written and talked extensively about how good, Schlemko's been. Schlemko plays 14 minutes. He has 3 shots on goal. Burns plays 25 and he has 5. That's not to say that David Schlemko's a better defenseman than Brent Burns, but you can get more minutes out of him for sure. I think it's the same thing with the Martin Jones thing. I think it comes back to confidence in the top players more so than a lack of confidence in the bottom players.
Right.
Does that make sense? He's starting Jones so much, I think, at least, because they're very confident in his abilities and they think that he's a guy that can start 70 games a year. Similarly, they think Brent Burns is a guy that can play, 25 minutes a night. And this year he can. This year he's playing very well in those minutes. He's a Norris Trophy contender. Probably going to be a Hart Trophy finalist too. If I had to peg it right now, it's probably Crosby, him, and McDavid for the Hart Trophy. I don't think he'll beat either of those two out, but you can make a very compelling case for him. So I think that comes from the same place as why Martin Jones is on pace to start over 70 games. Is okay, we're confident in our top guys. The interesting thing is that last night, at least, you really didn't see that in the forward line distribution. I mean, Melker Karlsson Tommy Wingels played the least of any forward, and he played nearly 12 minutes. And we haven't seen that a lot.
If you look at the sloping, it's like super, super even all the way down. It's like super natural. They just rolled. They rolled 4 lines last night.
Yeah, exactly. So,
and we haven't seen that often, mostly because the injuries have dictated that we've had weird lines all year, and I totally get that. That's not a criticism. That's just a statement of fact.
So it is strange when you look at his forward distribution then to see the defense distribution. So
the other thing to note is that it's not a benching because David Schlemko scored the game-winning goal in overtime. It's like, okay, wait a second, overtime deal here.
And I guess that's a good, that's a good thing about DeBoer is that even as they're maybe not playing as much, he still trusts them in critical situations, where their skills are. Like David Schlemko is a natural fit for 3-on-3 overtime, and even though he didn't play a ton in regulation, DeBoer still recognized that and iced him on what ended up being the game-winning shift.
Right, exactly. All right, let's double back. Let's talk about the Kings game. We talked about it a little bit before we went on air. I thought that not only did the Sharks play really, really well, I thought the Kings looked maybe as bad as they had looked since the playoffs. I thought that the Kings played the Sharks pretty tough in all of these games this year. I thought even in the games, except for maybe that New Year's Eve game where the Sharks looked pretty terrible, Sharks are the better team for most of the games, but the Kings have played them pretty tough. They've been close games. Not so much in this game. What was kind of your takeaway from the game?
I mean, I think, the Sharks played well. I believe they won what? Did they win 3-2? 2-1? 3-2.
Yes.
Yeah, they played well. Jones with a nice game that night, played a little better. Man, that game was what? Was that Wednesday? Yeah, that's right. It was Wednesday for Wednesday night rivalry. I think they played very well. We were talking about it before. I think this is definitely not the same Kings team. They just in past years, I think they've had the depth to compensate for not being able to play for not, scoring for generating a lot of shots and attempts, but not scoring at a high rate because they've had pretty solid depth. They were hurt that night. Tyler Toffoli did not play. And I think their depth's really taken a hit this year. I would not be surprised to see them miss the playoffs entirely. I mean, I've just been checking the box scores of each of those 3 games. Each of the 3 games this week, Dylan only played over 15 minutes once, and the same can be said for Schlemko. So at least over the last week, he's been very heavily relying on the top 4 defensively. But it's worked. They've won 3 games, so hard to see it changing. But yeah, in that Kings game, really is the start of the 4th line contributing this week. Ryan Carpenter played very well. He started to establish himself. I thought Wingles had a very good game, and then Haley, before he was placed on injured reserve, played very well in that game too. You texted me this week with Haley's his with or without you numbers with Ryan Carpenter and without Ryan Carpenter, and the impact that Ryan Carpenter's had on playing with Michael Haley is a little absurd. And I think the Carpenter thing, I think, is the most interesting takeaway from at least these 3 games and the LA game, because, let's say you're still not scoring and, you're happy with how Tierney's played on the 3rd line. Tierney in limited minutes on the 4th line did look good, but if you're happy with what he's giving you on the 3rd line, does that maybe make DeBoer more inclined to put Hertl up top with the Joes and then, move Marlowe and move Meyer down the lineup? Or is he still going to try Hertl at center? It's a good problem to have. It's a good kind of headache to have with that kind of decision. But I think Carpenter's making the bottom 6 center decisions a little more difficult. I think it gives them a little more flexibility.
Yeah, I mean, I still think it would be a mistake to leave Tierney at their line center long term, definitely, because I think what we learned, especially in that Kings game, is not that Carpenter is a great 4th line center. What we learned is that the Kings have a terrible 4th line. I think that really true. Is the takeaway.
But he's played well in each of these last 3 games. Yes, the Avs have bad depth, but the Lightning are a fairly deep team.
But are they?
Right. Yeah. I mean,
they're not. They're
in
not
previous
right now.
years they have been.
Yes, but right. In previous years, they had Steven Stamkos in the lineup.
Right.
The Lightning right now are a sub 50% possession team.
That's
the
true.
Avalanche are the worst team in the NHL, and the Kings right now are a great,
good points.
A great top 9. But Daryl Sutter has one of the worst 4th lines in the NHL. I think Ryan Carpenter is a good player. I just don't think that those are the teams that we can make a judgment on whether or not Ryan Carpenter is the guy to stick in the 4th line long term.
That's fair.
My thing is, and I think part of this is just PTSD at this point, is that I think, okay, Stanley Cup final, we're playing the Pittsburgh Penguins. Ryan Carpenter's getting.
You don't want Ryan Carpenter on your 4th line, yeah. No.
Nope. I went Chris Tierney on the 4th line, and I went Tomas Hertl on the 3rd line. And I don't think that, I know, listen, Pete DeBoer is not making a decision based on these 3 games, all right? Because we've talked about this before. He's thinking bigger picture than this as well. I do think it is interesting, though. I mean, listen, the guy's got 2 goals in 5 or 6 games now. That's only 2 fewer goals than Tommy Wingles has this year in 20 games.
Yeah.
Listen, even if he's not going to play center,
he's
made an argument to at least get some time at left wing on the 4th line or something.
Yeah.
And listen, Doug Wilson is not afraid of playing a center on the wing. That's literally the entire lineup.
Yeah.
I mean, until recently, right? I mean, these past couple of years are one of the first times we could say that the Sharks actually have wingers on the team. In 2010, couldn't we say that almost the entire team was centers on the forward? It felt like it anyway. I know I'm exaggerating a little bit, but you could say that Doug Wilson basically drafted centers and eventually moved guys to the wing. Basically, that was the move.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of an interesting, at least a thought to have anyway. So I'm not really sure what they're going to do going forward, and I know that they're going to have a lot of time to sit around and think about it. That's for sure. And if the whole team is healthy, once we come back from the All-Star break and from the bye week, there's going to be kind of like a mini training camp to be had, sort of, because they can't practice during the bye week. So
no, that's true. That's a good point.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think he's making a case, whether or not it's the fourth line center role. I think he is making a case to stick around. And as we can say about all of their call-ups this year, it bodes very well for their future if these guys are able to step in, and with an expansion draft looming, they can step up and fill those roles.
Bodes well for Ryan Carpenter's future too, whether it be in this organization or elsewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's there's another team coming into the league next year. He will. There's going to be more opportunities for a guy like him, and I think he's shown, like Tim Heaton in his game, like the rest of the rookies have. The rookies have when they've come up, they are NHL caliber.
Yep, and Danny O'Regan is still out, which is really kind of a bummer because that's a guy that I think at this point would have earned, a longer look. I mean, I'm happy for Ryan Carpenter, obviously, but I know that's a guy that's probably disappointed that he's not getting a look at this point because he probably would have gotten one. But, the Sharks have other guys that are close to getting that look, whether it be this year or next season. I mean, because we're at that point now. We're at game 48 now, where some of the guys that haven't gotten looks at this point, whether it be Goldobin or Charnier or Sorensen,
probably not going to get looks down the stretch.
Right, exactly.
Barring significant injury.
Right, injury, right, exactly. Those are guys that are going to get looks in training camp next year and going to be fighting for spots next year. So next year is really going to be interesting as far as all that is concerned. So obviously the Sharks are now done playing the Kings, which is kind of a fluke in the schedule. They haven't played the Canucks yet at all, another fluke in the schedule, which is the same thing that happened last season as well. We still got the Oilers a few more times. Which are important games this year, which is also wild. Got the Ducks a couple more times. These games this week are pretty important, if only because these are games that the Sharks really should win, especially these back-to-back games here. The Sharks really need to get a couple of points out of these.
Yeah.
Tired or not tired, injured or not injured, these are pretty important games for San Jose. That being said, as of right now, the Sharks, as of Sunday, the Sharks lead the division in point percentage. They still have a couple games in hand, and they'll have even more games in hand after their bye week and the All-Star break and whatever. So it's going to be kind of important that they cash in on that when they have the.
They're a point back of the Ducks, and they're tied with the Oilers for second, and they've played the least amount of games of any team that's in a playoff spot right now. So they're going to be fine. The playoff picture really shaping up across both divisions. It's starting to look like there's going to be 5 from the Pacific, or it's going to be 4 and 4, which I'm shocked to see either way. I'll be more shocked with 5 from the Pacific, but right now the Blues are in a playoff position, but they've struggled. I mean, the last really good game they played was against the Sharks, which is always funny when teams go into long tailspins after they played the Sharks. Sharks have bounced back. They have the longest winning streak in the Western Conference, and I believe the rest of the NHL. They have the longest active winning streak in the NHL right now.
We set them off. All they needed was for us to help them hit rock bottom.
Yeah, exactly.
We did it. You're welcome, boys. The Sharks have a 638 point percentage right now. The Ducks 622, Oilers 612, and the Canucks 532.
Not great.
Not great. Remember when the Pacific was tightening up and the Sharks needed to look out? Remember that? Yeah.
I mean,
seems like a long, long time ago.
Yeah. Like Vancouver's not going to hang around for much longer.
They are not. The Vancouver Canucks are a terrible hockey team. In great news for, I don't know, everyone who's a fan of hockey, I assume, the Anaheim Ducks were up 3-1 last night and ended up losing to the Minnesota Wild 5-3.
Really? Was it in Anaheim?
It was in Anaheim. And
Bruce Boudreau getting that revenge.
The Ducks were down 2 goals late, and Randy Carlyle did not pull his goalie.
Seriously?
Didn't pull it.
If any coach is going to preserve we don't want to get embarrassed on the scoreboard.
Yes.
We're not going to pull the goalie. It's Randy Carlisle, who's the Jim Tom Sula of NHL coaches, except he's won a Stanley Cup. And NHL coaches, excuse me. Sharks also have the best goal differential in the division. And second best in the Western Conference behind the Wild, who are plus 48.
Which is just incomprehensible to me.
Bruce Boudreau, good coach.
Devin Dubnyk writing the numbers.
Well, of course. But I also think
I'm going to draw a big painting of Devin Dubnyk as a dolphin and Bruce Boudreau riding him over a tsunami.
It's great. He's gonna win the Jack. He's gonna win the Jack Adams because
he is. He's not actually.
You think Torts will get it?
Yeah, and then how long after he wins it is he going to get fired?
Oh, within 2 years.
Yeah,
because they'll regress. I think. Actually, no, I take that back.
Well, the Jackets are actually good, but
they're a good team.
But I mean,
they've struggled since the win streak, but they're built a lot better for the future, I think, than a lot of people gave them credit for before the season.
Myself included, for sure. That being said, if we were to look at the last 5 Jack Adams winners, how many are still employed?
Oh no, yeah, that's a great point. Actually, I'll look that up right now.
Okay, Barry Trotz is still employed. Fair. Bob Hartley fired. Patrick Waugh quit/fired. Paul McLean, Senators, fired.
Yep.
And Ken Hitchcock
still there.
Currently employed, but will quit/be
fired. But he's going to retire
at the end of this year. So.
And then Dan Biles, just before him, fired.
Right. Dave Tippett, is he still there?
No, Biles was not in Pittsburgh. Yeah, Tippett's in Arizona.
He is still there. Okay. Yeah, and Claude Julien about to be fired. Right. And Claude Julien's about to be fired probably.
Which is just
so Boston. Elaine Vigneault about to be fired. Lindy Ruff.
If LA fired
fired.
If LA fires Sutter and hires Claude Julien, that's literally the worst possible scenario.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh no, and then Boston could hire Sutter and they could both get better. Oh no.
Boston hires Sutter.
Oh man, I didn't even think about that. Never mind. Oh,
I think that's a good argument that if you swap coaches with those teams, would they be getting better results?
Oh, they probably would. Oh man, I didn't even think about
Boston
that.
Boston's super unlucky, haven't they?
Yeah. Hasn't Tuukka Rask been pretty bad?
I thought he was good.
Is that what it was? Have they not been scoring? It's something like that.
They haven't been scoring. The only person who was hot at any point was Pasternak. Everyone else has struggled to score.
Oh, maybe they should unload one of those guys that is not a good leader, like I don't know, Patrice Bergeron.
Yeah, third lowest PDO in the league, and I want to say they have the league's lowest shoot. Yeah, them and the Florida Panthers have the league's lowest shooting percentage.
How do you think Bergeron would look in teal? Thoughts?
Oh, he'd look great. Yeah, you'd do that in a heartbeat.
Gorgeous. Do they want a first rounder? I would give him a first rounder for Bergeron.
Well, apparently it's very easy to trade players. Right?
They have no problem.
Yeah.
He's got bad character. Not a winner. All right. So Monday, we complete the Matt Nieto Bowl, hopefully without a Nieto goal.
Is that the last match? That's not the last matchup of the year.
That's it. Right? Only 2 times this year.
They only played twice. Wow.
No. I think that happens with one Western Conference team every year, with one Central team.
Okay.
That or I miscounted. It's possible. But I went through a couple times to make sure I wasn't crazy.
Okay.
Or whatever. So, and then Winnipeg, that's a road back-to-back, which is brutal. Thankfully, they're both bad teams. Thank God. The real hope, obviously, is that nobody gets suspended after playing against Dustin Byfuglien. I'm talking to you, Jumbo. And then Edmonton. And that's Edmonton at home. And that's obviously the Drew Remenda Bowl. So should we use something other than bowl? I don't know. Nieto Bowl sounds pretty good.
I like the Bowl. Yeah, it's fun.
What do you think about Remenda Bowl? Yeah, that's good. So, all right. And then we can do another one of these afterwards on Friday before.
Yeah, before all
All-Star. Right. To commemorate. So that'll be game 49 to 51.
When are you going to be there? And
I will be there on Saturday. I'll be doing a podcast with Jules from The Crown on Saturday.
Okay.
Sunday. One of those.
Is that the media availability Saturday before the skills comp?
Yeah, exactly. And then I believe that there's going to be maybe some on. Well, there'll be some on after Sunday, after the game, obviously. But the big media availability will be Saturday. So I'll talk to all the Sharks guys and see what else I can get in on as far as scrums go. So we'll see.
We'll see what kind of guys I can talk to and see what kind of stories I can dig up. What the scuttlebutt is.
Yeah, exactly.
Professional reporting.
Yeah. We'll see what the deal is. So it's usually kind of a cluster around there. So, I'll just kind of push some giant sweaty reporters out of the way and ask more interesting questions.
PK Subban, what's your favorite barbecue place in Nashville? I'm just really dying to know, bruh.
What country music you like it?
Who is your favorite rap artist?
I was saying country because of Nashville, but
yeah, no, he doesn't like country. He just fakes it for the.
I think he's embraced it, man.
Nah, he's just playing to the crowd, dude.
He likes he sang.
Do you like Drake?
He was at a karaoke bar and he sang Johnny Cash.
Yeah, I know, dude. He's just playing to the crowd.
I'm sure he's because Drake is from Toronto, and if like anybody famous is from Toronto, Drake will just attach themselves to them. If Drake's in LA this weekend, he'll hang out with PK Subban.
Yeah.
And he'll be like, I've been a Predators fan my whole life.
Well, in fairness to Drake, Drake will show up and be like, oh, man, I like hockey. And he's like, oh, shit. These are all white guys.
Didn't he perform at He performed at an All-Star game once.
Did he actually? I can't believe they could get Drake. I know Drake's like, oh, bandwagoner, but Drake
performed at the NHL All-Star game.
Was that in Toronto?
No. Where was it?
I can't believe he traveled somewhere for an All-Star.
Ottawa.
Oh, okay. That's a short trip.
At the time, he was a 2-time Judo Award winner. That's how they presented him.
A Judo Award winner?
Juno Award, Juno.
What's that?
I don't know. He's got to be the biggest name they've had. I think this weekend at the All-Star game, they're going to have John Legend be involved in their top 100 players ceremony.
Oh, cool.
John Hamm's hosting it because John Hamm's the only famous NHL fan.
Whoa. Stop bagging on Will Arnett on this podcast.
Oh, Will Arnett's good. No, you're right.
Yeah, geez, dude. That's twice.
I enjoyed Will Arnett's exercise in surreal comedy when he hosted the NHL awards. He did the Brendan.
Yeah, exactly. And the burn on Edmonton was also good. I was really disappointed he didn't come out in a segue, though. That was disappointing.
No, of course, yeah.
I think that's the NHL's fault. They wouldn't let him do it.
No, they were like, what's Arrested Development? We've not watched it.
Yeah, he was like, oh, hey, Gary, I'm Will Arnett. I was in Arrested Development. He's like, what's television?
And then he goes, oh, come on, and see.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So that's going to be it for this podcast. Just a reminder that this podcast was recorded on January 22nd, 2017, in the year of our Lord, Matt Neats.
Matt Neats Beats, our official sponsor of the pod.
Oh, man, that'd be awesome.
That'd be awesome. Hey, give us a ring sometime. I'll call you next time I'm in Denver, Nieto.
Because we don't have his phone number.
Oh, wait, you don't? I thought you did.
I do not know.
Oh.
I do not.
Okay. So he can call us?
Yeah. Our line is always open.
Okay. Great. Well, until then, you can follow us on Twitter at FearTheFin. You can follow Marcus at Marcus P. White. Me at Jake Sundstrom. Hey, Marcus, who do you got in the football game today?
Give me the Packers.
Pack. Go Pack, go.
That's the best game is Pack Falcons. Steelers Pats I don't really care about, but
I would like them both to lose, possibly. Thoughts?
Yeah, no, I'll say it's the Patriots. Just so it'll be all the more satisfying when in the first Super Bowl of the Trump presidency, Tom Brady loses to Aaron Rodgers.
Fair. I would like them both to lose then also. My goal is for the Falcons to win today, and then the Falcons to win the Super Bowl. So everyone's like, who even cares about the Falcons? And be like, yeah. Exactly.
Oh, yes. Yeah, no, they'll do the whole, Atlanta's not a great sports town.
Right. What's even in Atlanta? It's like, yeah, exactly. You don't even know, you freaking losers. What's in Green Bay? Green Bay is not a great sports town. It's not even a town.
It's just old. It's entrenched.
It's nothing.
I like the winner of the NFC. I like both those teams. They can score a lot. They're fun.
I hate Aaron Rodgers. I hate him.
Do you really? I like Aaron Rodgers a lot.
Nah, he's the worst. I hate Cow.
Oh, okay, that's fair. That goes back a while. Rodgers in his cadence worked in the name of the co-host of my favorite radio show because they asked him to. He worked it into his cadence in one of the playoff games.
Wow.
Yeah, he said Stugatz as part of his cadence, so that was pretty funny. I like A-Rod. He's a smart guy. Went to Cal.
Cal is just like a slightly less pretentious Stanford, and that's
and
like
plus, if he wins, he'll be from the first ever family to have a winner of the Bachelorette and a 2-time Super Bowl champion.
Okay.
His brother was on the Bachelorette.
We know. Yeah. We know. You know, him and his father aren't on speaking terms. I just heard.
No, that's also why, because I can't wait for everybody to like. It's going to be great when he wins, because everyone will be like, all the stories will then go from blaming Olivia Munn to why he lost to giving her credit for like turning his life around. It's going to be great.
Olivia Munn saved Aaron Rodgers, and Giselle Bundchen and President Trump killed Tom Brady.
And then
Roger Clemens.
The pivot's going to be great.
Yeah, the pivot. I'm all about the pivot. All right. Well, this has been the Fear the Fincast. We'll be back on.
No, we don't.
Did we say Friday?
Oh yeah, Friday. Friday works.
Okay, Friday, January 27th.
Yeah, no, Friday works. Yeah, Friday.
I'm glad we decided this in advance. Boom, planned it. I'm putting in my calendar, and then January 27th. Okay. Put in my PDA. All right, guys, we'll talk to you later. Yeah.